Today we're going to talk all about how to build confidence. Building confidence is one of those skill sets that truly every successful person has in life that you can actually learn. It is not something that you are born with, it is a muscle that you need to really work for. So in today's video, I want to break it down, share some of my personal experiences and on how I did this. My name is Sanne, welcome to the channel. You can probably hear a little bit of background noises. I'm here in the Hamptons, so apologize if you can hear a little bird or something. The number one thing that really holds us back from building confidence or feeling confident is the fear that comes in. Whenever we walk into a room, whenever we're maybe on stage or maybe not having the confidence to start something, our brains and our bodies are so connected and they're here to protect us. Our brain is wired for survival and not for success. You have to keep that in mind when thinking about building confidence, because the number one thing that is holding us back is the fear that we have. The fear of what other people think of us, of failing, of not feeling good enough. You have to start working with your fear instead against it. So I almost want you to think of like being in a car and like you're driving, right? Like you are steering the wheel, you're directing your life, and fear is there. Fear will come up. Instead of dropping fear off and trying to drive forward to the next town, we want to embrace fear, to acknowledge it, to have it into our passenger seat and drive it with us. When you're feeling scared or you have this feeling of fear come in and you're feeling not confident to do something, this is the moment to kind of stand still, to stop and to embrace the fear and still do it anyway. That is probably the thing that most people struggle with, but this is really where a lot of these tips and tricks kind of come in. I think the number one, discipline is a muscle. So basically to build confidence, it is all about keeping the little promises to yourself, right? You say you're gonna do something, you actually follow through, you're gonna do it. That is where you're gonna build confidence. Where you're gonna lose the confidence is when you say you're gonna do things and you're not gonna show up for yourself and you're not following through. This is really where that discipline comes in. You have to be disciplined and you have to see this as training this as a muscle. A muscle that also needs to be maintained. It's not once you build the muscle, you stop keeping the promises to yourself that your confidence is going to stay. No, it's something that you need to build over and over and over time. And guess what? The more you train, the easier it gets. The same with discipline, keeping the little promises to yourself. If you say, I'm going to be working out 4 times a week, and you actually do it and you build the confidence muscle in that area, you will most likely see that confidence come into other areas of your life, whether that is in your personal relationships, standing up for yourself, or maybe into your career where you feel more confident to be in front of people and do that. I also really think that people expect that to just come automatically, but this is something you have to train. So start small and train this over time in a very consistent way. Train the discipline like it is a muscle. Number 2 is set small and daily goals. The reason why you want to start small is because this is how you can start to stay consistent, and we all know that consistency always beats intensity. So we really want to focus on building that muscle, focusing on one little mini goal a day. Once we are able to accomplish that and actually do that, we will start to feel confident into our body, into our brain, because that is how us human beings are wired. I remember when I did my very first fashion shows, right? The way it kind of works in fashion, like it was not that there was like a lead up of like, oh my God, I'm gonna start with small shows with maybe 10 people watching, 20 people watching. No, it's like you either do no show or you do a show with hundreds of people and maybe like 100 cameras. And I was terrified, you guys, absolutely terrified. What I did, I made a little goal for myself every day in my little notebook where I was like, I am going to practice this runway every day. Then the next day I was like, okay, now I'm gonna practice this runway in my agency with 10 of my agents watching, which was probably more scary than actually doing the show. By setting these little micro goals, I'm constantly testing that fear. It's actually funny because I talked about this with Jason a lot, because very often when we feel fear, we actually feel it physically in our body, right? We might get hot, we might get sweaty hands, we might get like a very uncomfortable feeling in our stomach, right? It's truly that brain communicating with that body, and we hold a lot of emotion into the body. So when we feel that, we feel discomfort. And what often we want to do when we feel discomfort, we want to step out of it and we want to feel comfortable again. That is, again, it is humans are setting up for survival and not for discomfort. Once you start to feel this discomfort in that body, like whether that's in your tummy, whatever, embrace it rather than pushing it away. Wow, that's a really loud bird here. If you feel like, where can I actually grow as a human, or you never feel discomfort, it means you're probably not pushing yourself hard enough. When we're feeling that kind of that discomfort, that thing in our tummy, like sweaty hands, whatever, almost just stand still, and I want you to just like think a little, maybe it's like a little cartoon of yourself, a little second voice, and be like, yep, this is where the personal growth comes in, and do it anyway. Number 3, confidence comes from data and not from dopamine. Tracking your progress is honestly so important. How often have you maybe made a lot of progress in whatever journey, whether that is your career or maybe it's losing weight or whatever it is, and while you're on that journey, you're like, I feel I'm not progressing. I've honestly been there. I feel sometimes we are our worst own critics, and once you're very zoomed into something, it's sometimes really hard to actually see the progress when you zoom out. So I would recommend, whatever your goal is, to always break it down in little micro goals and track overnight. You can use a Panda planner, you can make a little thing in your notes app. There are tons of different templates out there. And also it becomes like a little bit of a motivator, right? Because once you like can check things off, again, it's that little dopamine that comes in. So we can use it a little bit there, but it's like definitely a motivation tool. Tracking your data is actually going to show you like actual facts on what your progress is like. And this is an amazing tool to build confidence here, because sometimes when we're deep into the journey, when we have our eyesight on, we can't really see it and we can't really feel it, and it becomes frustrating. And when we get into that spiral of feeling frustrated, this is often where our confidence starts to dip down. Okay, next up, start small and start with small improvements. I sometimes hear people say like, oh my God, I'm so scared, I would never want to be on stage, or I would be so scared to record a video on YouTube. That is normal. Again, we're talking back, that fear comes in, human, we're trying to protect ourselves. I was the same. I felt nervous, I was scared. We did it anyway. It's completely normal and not expected from people to immediately be in front of a stage of like 1,000 people and talking. It's something that you need to build over time. And I recently bumped into a quote that I really liked, and it was, the greatest gift in life is being okay with being a beginner. A lot of people forget about that, and they immediately want to look at the advanced, or they look up to people who have been doing this for years, who have been practicing for years behind the scenes. But people don't see that. People just see the final result and be like, oh, I can never be like that. Yes, you can. With the right amount of practice and consistency and discipline, you can totally be. Like, I still remember teaching my very first Pilates class, right? Like, I did my certification, and I kid you not, the class, I think it was like 10 people, was a lot over Zoom. I was so nervous, like I could just feel rock in my stomach, sweaty hands. I was like, oh my God, I do not understand how people could do this in front of a class. Like, I have so much respect for them, and I was so scared. Again, talked through with Jason, and we both looked at each other because he had the same feeling. We're like, this is the moment, fear comes in, we gotta embrace it, we gotta hug it, we gotta bring it in. And we did it anyway. We had to like accomplish it. Even after I had a choice, I could be like, you know what, I'm scared to continue this, I'm not gonna do it, or I am going to step into this part of self-development and evolving myself and building that confidence. So what I did a little Pilates class with 4 of my friends that I feel very comfortable with, that I know that wouldn't judge if I would make mistakes and if I had to repeat things. Then I had my very first Pilates event with some people that I didn't know, which was like 10-15 people. The way I prepared for it, I got my flow going and I prepared it at home, and every day I practiced, repeat and repeat. This is where I started to build confidence in myself, and I repeated it so much that the day it came, I didn't really have to think so much about the flows. It was so much easier. And then I did with 10 people, then I did with 20 people, and I did this for a whole year. Then I did 30, then I did 50, and oh my God, I was terrified at 50. It was like, these are so many people, but I took a deep breath and was like, you know what, I've done this before. Now I got to a stage 3 years later where I feel comfortable teaching hundreds of people together. A lot of people look at that end result and be like, oh my God, I could never. I thought I could never, but I practiced it over and over and over and started small. The time that I posted my first YouTube video, I filmed probably 20 videos, you guys. I filmed 20 videos. I was walking around New York City with my little camera. I wasn't confident. I was really scared to film a video or talk in front of the camera, and I was like, I can't talk in front of the camera. I'm so bad at it. Negative self-talk, by the way, which we also want to touch base on. So what I did, I would put a timer on my phone, 20 minutes. I gave myself 20 minutes. I walked around the block in New York City, just talking to my camera, 20 minutes, feeling comfortable having my camera in public, which felt so embarrassing and I was so shy. I probably did this 15 to 20 times. So I don't know what that's times 20. Okay, here we go. That was the amount of times before I even posted my first video. So again, it's working that muscle of discipline, and it's starting small. Okay, the next up is one of my favorite mindset tips, and it is the what is the worst thing that can happen mindset. Very often when fear comes in, we kind of start to overthink a lot. We start to spiral a lot. When that feeling comes in, I usually ask myself that one question. What is the worst thing that can happen? And when you really, really ask yourself that, the worst thing, it's not even that bad. For example, I am really scared to take charge and speak in front of all my colleagues and do a presentation. What is the worst thing that can happen? That you mumble over your words? That you black out? That you feel embarrassed? Now, let's just think about that. Do you really think that colleagues would be completely judging you of like, oh my God, this is a bad person? People are so busy with themselves and people forget so fast. People might be like, oh wow, she's maybe not as good in speaking. So what? What's the worst thing that can happen there? I guess the worst thing here is that you get fired from your job, but I highly, highly doubt that if you tried and you showed up trying to give that presentation and maybe still can deliver that work after in a proper way, that you immediately get fired from a job, right? It is you showing up and you trying, people will respect that. It's even like something small as like stepping into a gym, right? With a lot of equipment, it can sometimes feel very intimidating. There's a lot of like big men. I get it. I've been there and I was like, this feels like a very intimidating space. You don't know where to start. But even in a moment like that, what's the worst thing that can happen? You use a machine completely the wrong way. So what? What's then the worst thing? You're embarrassed? So what? People already respect you that you're there, that you're showing up. I feel that's the beauty of a space like that, right? People respect that you're there, that you're working on yourself, that you're making self-improvements. I always think about this, like what's the worst thing that can happen? And very often the worst thing is not even that bad. It's often a feeling of embarrassment that only has to do with your emotions and not with really what is happening into the real world. Very often it is truly not that bad. Building confidence is the first step if you want anything in life, whether that is in the relationship you have with yourself, the relationship with others, your career, building the life that you really want. It's a combination of showing up consistently, starting small, and embracing that fear, having a different mindset. I think those things are so important. All of the rest will kind of follow. I also really love doing affirmations and stuff because I do think that negative self-talk is one of the things that can really tear down your self-confidence. I think that is actually really important to pay attention to. I would actually do this with maybe your friends or family or partner. Something that I used to do all the time, where kind of in like very casual conversations, I will be like, oh no, I can't do that. No, I'm really bad at X, Y, and Z. Or I would be like, oh no, I can't peel the potatoes because I like really suck at cutting. Or no, I can't put like that event together. I'm like really disorganized. Really, the words you tell yourself matter. Your words really shape your reality. If you're in all those little doses, almost sprinkling every time that negative self-talk, what happens? Your body actually starts to believe it. Your body starts to believe that you can do things, and we want to do the opposite. You know, I love doing like affirmations. They are kind of a good add-on to this. It's not the root of building confidence, but it is a really good way to rewire your brain and to have your mind and body work together in order to build confidence and to overstep those fears. I made that agreement with Max. I was like, oh my God, every time I say something negative about myself or something that I can't do or I am bad at doing something, call it out. At a point, I would recognize it myself when I was doing that. And now I got to a point a couple years later where I don't even say those words anymore, because guess what? Your body starts to believe it. The words matter and your words become reality. I feel the biggest leaders in the world, whether that is in business or spiritual leaders or whatever, the one thing they truly have all in common is they have a lot of self-confidence, and they almost have that like little craziness to think that they can do anything. Anything they set their mind to, they're like, sure, it's easy, let's do it. I think having that positive mindset of thinking that you can do anything in this world is such a big game changer. But it already starts with the negative self-talk to get that out first. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video on self-confidence. I truly think that self-confidence comes from within. I work on it, to be honest, on a daily basis, because once I feel confident in one area of my life, I feel I'm always trying to evolve, I'm trying to get better. I constantly put myself in these uncomfortable positions because otherwise I feel I am not growing. This is constantly where that muscle comes back in, and I need to build up my confidence and really use it. There are also days that I feel more confident or less confident than others, and that is completely normal. That is human. I think it's really important in those moments to recognize that, to sit with it, and just kind of feel like, you know what, tomorrow is a new day, or like, you know what is the action I'm going to take today to rebuild that confidence? Because the confidence is all about the input and the action to set this in motion and to get that self-confidence back in. I would love to know in the comments down below, what is one thing that helps you, make you feel confident? I always love reading you guys' comments, and I feel it can be very much an inspiration and support to others as well. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I will see you very soon, and thank you for watching.